Hello and welcome into the Common Denominator podcast. I will be the host today. My name is Cooper, and to my left is Brady.
Hi.
And Gabe.
What is going on, guys? I just want to welcome you guys into the Common Denominator podcast. We are three guys with very different personalities, and the common denominator is sports. So once again, just want to welcome you guys into our first episode.
And with doing so, we will start with our first segment, and it's called Barrel Fire Hot Takes. The name will probably change over time when we get it more into gear. And hot take is a piece of commentary typically produced quickly in response to a recent event whose primary purpose is to attract attention. And we're going to do that in a 2-minute time period. We're just going to go at it. And we might discuss the topics afterwards if there's a good one that gets thrown out there. I think Brady's going to start us off here today. And just, let's see. I'm going to start the timer at when I point to you, Brady, you can go.
So I'm going to go with Sacramento Kings make the playoffs as the 8th seed and take the Warriors to 7 games.
My first hot take is Antonio Brown is going to be washed up in his next NFL uniform.
The Warriors will not make it out of the West.
I think Duke will get knocked out of the March Madness tournament in round 2.
Bryce Harper will do more for the culture in Philadelphia than he will for the Phillies.
Ben Simmons will make more three-pointers than Bryce Harper will have World Series in Philly.
The Phillies will not make a World Series in the first 3 years of Bryce Harper's deal.
Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are bitches. Neither of them are very good.
Ouch. Oof. The AAF isn't that bad?
I'm going to say Manziel signs in the AAF and finally doesn't fuck up a part of his career.
Josh Rosen is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray and will have a better NFL career.
Kyler Murray will be picked in the top 10.
Houston will finish as a Final Four team.
Le'Veon Bell isn't that good.
Steelers still dumpster fire.
Browns will be in the AFC Championship game next season with the Chiefs.
The Celtics are better without Kyrie.
The Cavs would still be bad with LeBron.
Alabama will miss the college football playoff for the first time.
Carlos Correa is a bust.
Wow, that one got me shook. Let's see. Antonio Brown will sign with a team that will never make the playoffs as long as he's there.
I have a similar one. Antonio Brown will go to the 49ers, but they will still finish bottom 5 of the league.
And Gabe with our last one.
The NBA Rookie of the Year race will be a lot closer than anybody thinks.
I will. Well, which one do you want to get into? But I have a question about the NBA Rookie of the Year discussion. What is the discussion?
Everyone has Luka Doncic as the runaway favorite.
Oh, yeah. I guess he is a rookie. I forgot who's the rookies.
I think Trae Young's making it a lot closer
I
than
think
it should.
his last few months make it a little bit more of a conversation, but I still think that Luka Doncic is going to probably get it.
It's a conversation if you look at the numbers.
But DeAndre Ayton, his numbers aren't bad, actually. But
no, he's not. But you get that win over a certain team we'll discuss last night. So which hot take do you guys want to expand upon?
I thought you might want to talk about my Browns to championship.
just a little bit. I feel I don't understand.
We can talk about it.
I'm just, looking at it from last year, I think that they'll probably end up winning the division. No doubt in my mind they probably do, and they have a ton of cap space. I don't see why they can't easily become a better team this upcoming season.
To expand upon that, the Browns are 5th in cap space.
5th is a lot, and they've always been up there. One day they'll spend it properly. And
I think that'll be now.
And if say we will, if Kareem Hunt is playing football for them, they're just a better team.
Well, and I mean,
whether or not it's deserving.
It's been pretty good lately. I think that they're on the right track.
Also,
Cleveland's got 4 picks in the top 3 rounds, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
one in top 15 because I don't know what's their pick this year. Top 10,
I don't think so. I'm
No,
not sure
they
though.
finished.
11th or 12th. I mean, I guess technically they're in the hunt until like the final week, so maybe it's better than I think.
I will say this though. I don't think that's too crazy. I think Baker Mayfield is really that good.
I don't think the Browns are the team on that discussion
17,
that I'm
by the way.
arguing about.
They pick 17th.
Are you concerned about the Chiefs?
I don't think they'll make the AFC Championship next
I
year.
think that Patrick Mahomes is a better season next season.
I don't know about that one. I don't know if he has a better season.
I don't think he has a sophomore slump.
No,
I don't think
neither
it's
do
slump,
I.
but it's very hard to replicate 50 touchdowns and all that.
Yeah, I don't think they're as complete a team throughout the course of an entire season without Kareem Hunt. I think,
especially if they get there's a blueprint for Patrick Mahomes just to slow him down, and nobody's figured that one out yet.
no, but I think watching tape over a year and watching what New England did for the first 3 quarters can certainly help. If we look at guys who are sensational, and for all intents and purposes, I'm going to call Patrick Mahomes a rookie last season.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you look at what Deshaun Watson did his rookie year, teams adjusted. He had a better year his first year. He still had a really good year last year, but he wasn't as good. I don't think Patrick Mahomes will be as good.
But also,
I still think Patrick Mahomes will be in the MVP conversation.
with Watson, that's coming off of a major injury.
Yeah.
Mahomes has a whole offseason to be healthy and just focus on getting better. Watson had to rehab and couldn't focus on
Unless he
getting
plays
better.
basketball some more.
Well, you know.
Well, he's not allowed to anymore.
No, he's not allowed
He's
to.
been locked
I
in
know.
his room.
I don't think the Chiefs part of that prediction was too eye-opening. I don't think the Browns were either. I think the Browns are a good football team. I just don't know if they'll make the AFC Championship because of inexperience on their coaching staff. But I think they can certainly make some noise.
One of those teams are wrong. I couldn't necessarily pinpoint which one's wrong, but I know one of them isn't going to be. They're not. It's not going to be those two in the AFC Championship.
That's my prediction already, and I'm gonna stick with it for now.
I think the issue is New England still exists. Unless Tom Brady retires this offseason, they're still going to be a threat, and they have the most picks in the NFL draft this coming up, I think. They have like 11 or 12 picks.
I'll say this. Give me 2 of these 4 teams, the Colts, the Browns, the Chiefs, and the Patriots, but they cannot be the Browns and the Chiefs. I think one of those other teams will make it in there.
That's what
I'll probably say a team like the Colts. I could see a Browns Chiefs. I just don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, because of the inexperience on the Browns coaching staff. But for the first time in a long time, the Browns aren't too far away.
I think the Browns might be the only team that really changes, like in the whole playoff picture next year for the AFC.
I think they win the North.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I think
Mhm.
other than that, the playoff picture biting most issues, I think will be pretty much the same. Maybe the Chargers fall off, but maybe not. Who knows?
I don't know. Phillip Rivers and his team of kids.
I mean, maybe the Texans fall out of the playoffs because they won't be the division winner next year. That will be the Colts. But as of now, I think it all changes as time progresses. We know one thing. The NFC will be a lot more different than the AFC, I think. I think the AFC will be very much the same. But we will see we might see a new quarterback out of the AFC going to the Super Bowl instead of Tom Brady, which is
Refreshing,
yeah.
to say the least.
The Patriots haven't ruined the NFL, but the Warriors are in the NBA. They've been to about as many championships at this point, and that's been about the same run.
You know who won't be going to a championship?
Well, not this year at least, unless playoff mode gets activated. Oh wait, it has.
Cooper, why don't you tell everybody listening who we're talking about?
Well, we could talk. LeBron James is a part of a team that goes to LA. They're called the Lakers, and the Lakers stink. They're bad, like really bad. It's all because LeBron decided to play GM. This year he couldn't get his coach fired though, like he could.
I will say this. Things did not go wrong for the Lakers at the trade deadline or near the trade deadline. The time the things went wrong for the Lakers, when LeBron joined them.
Yeah, I think that was a kind of bad move on both
LeBron,
sides.
in Cleveland, he got away with his little, say, GM moves is what we'll call it for lack of a better term. He got away with all of that because Cleveland is not as big a market and he's from there. In the eyes of Cleveland fans now, LeBron James can do no wrong. When you're in LA, you have a huge market, a demanding market.
That already hated him because
Yeah.
they thought Kobe was better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you had people split on whether LeBron James signed with your team or didn't. And how many cities can honestly say that they would be split on that? So I think when LeBron James joined the Lakers, he was doomed from the start. And I think just his whole attitude about this entire thing has really hurt them.
I don't think it was when he joined them was the issue. They weren't a bad team before he got hurt on Christmas Day. They were good. They were up big on the Warriors. They sucked when he was out. And then all of a sudden Anthony Davis, during this whole time LeBron's hurt, all of a sudden Anthony Davis comes out of the waterworks being ready for a trade. And say we will. That has Anthony Davis is more detriment to the Lakers than anyone else. Is just like
the sources leaking all these stories
Rich
in the
Paul.
Pelicans.
Rich Paul might be the biggest issue with the Lakers.
Rich Paul might be the biggest issue with the NBA, depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, I mean, having a super agent's not bad. It's just a matter of that's an easy way to tamper. We just need to get over tampering rules. Everyone tampers. I would say the biggest issue the Lakers have is because Lonzo Ball is out.
Yeah, they miss him defensively. Honestly, it's not necessarily about his offensive impact, but without him on court, their defense just isn't the same. They're not capable of stopping opponents like they used to.
Yeah, but when you can't even beat the Suns, your problems are bigger than Lonzo Ball.
That's where you're wrong.
Isn't that great?
But he wanted to go to Phoenix.
He did want to go to Phoenix. That's because LeBron wanted him out.
I mean, I do think Lonzo's a good player, honestly. Based defensively, I think he has a lot to do offensively, but he's not that much worse than Ben Simmons is.
I think he's a poor man's Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
I don't foresee him having a super long, successful NBA career.
Oh, you could go a long time, but as soon as he decides I'm no longer going to be good enough to start, then he'll stay along.
I don't know if he's good enough to start now.
I think he would. I think starting for the Lakers right now would benefit them. I think they might still squeak in and be the 8th seed, and that's just how it. I think it's not that tough to make up the ground that they've lost. They're back a lot, but
they're back 4.5 games to the 8th seed,
which is tough to make up unless they have a lot of games against other opponents back because you're not only. It's not like you're going for the 1 seed and your only thing needs to be is win. You need to worry about other people winning and losing too.
They do have a relatively tough schedule going forward. I mean, they play teams out of their 19 games left. They play the Clippers, the Nuggets, Celtics, Raptors, Pistons, Bucks, Kings, Jazz, Thunder, Warriors, Clippers again, Blazers, Jazz again. They've got a tough schedule to end the season. They end the season on the road at New Orleans. Then they play the Thunder, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Jazz, and the Trailblazers. So if that's going to be your decisive last 5 games, they don't make the playoffs in my eyes.
I think one of the things that LeBron needs to realize is he's no longer in the East. You can't just say playoff mode activated when you're out of the playoffs in March and be like, oh, I'm going to climb in and be the 4th seed. You just simply can't climb out of not being in the playoffs and make a 4th seed in the West out of nowhere.
I think it was telling when, I believe it was 4 games ago, that Vegas had the Lakers with better odds to receive a top 5 pick than to make the playoffs at, I believe, 3.3%.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Mainly because I think if they got enough lottery percentage to garner them getting a top 5 pick, then NBA will rig it and give them it. I mean, let's be honest, the lottery is very rigged, and that's why the Knicks will end up with Zion. Just facts that the Knicks would rather NBA would rather give the number 1 overall pick to a big market like New York than give it to the Chicago Bulls.
Chicago's still a big market.
It's a big market, but it's not going to be as big. Just think of the possibilities: Zion and Kyrie or KD or AD.
Zach LaVine and Zion Williamson doesn't terrify you?
Not really.
Shook it.
Not really.
I am shook it.
No. Going back to your Lonzo Ball comment, though, I think the only reason the Lakers miss Lonzo Ball is because Rajon Rondo is shit.
Oh, it's but the thing is, Rondo's
like purely off
He's
of
on-
his reputation at this point. He's not even a shell of what he was.
Rondo's only been good. Like Rondo's been awful the last 5 years. From the point where he got traded from the Celtics to the Mavs, he's been awful all 5 of those years.
He wasn't terrible in New Orleans.
Yeah, I think revisionist history. He wasn't terrible in the playoffs for New Orleans. He wasn't the best otherwise.
I think it was when they hit playoff time. Without him, they would have struggled a lot.
Yeah, because
Here's the thing with Rondo, though. I think Rondo's a big game player.
he
and
is.
if you don't make the playoffs, he's useless.
For example, that Celtics game, big game. This is a big rivalry, big game. He's used to playing on the other side. Wanted some, and he just had a last-second tip in, which, I mean, say we will, that's a big moment, and he's there in the big. Rondo's always there in the big moment. He'll make the pass. He's a good passer, top level, not a good defender. He's not going to shoot well over you.
Here's the thing, though. To be a big game player, you have to make it to the big game. When you've only got a few guys actually doing something, you're not going to get to that level. I think there's only 3 players on the Lakers who are actually worth a shit, and I think that's LeBron James, Brandon Ingram, and Kyle Kuzma. And Brandon Ingram's inconsistent.
Yeah, he flutters between being important on the team and being.
I feel like he's probably the one that could benefit most from a scene change, and I think that's why he wouldn't be too upset with a trade if he got traded.
But the Lakers have sucked the last week or two, longer than that probably.
Yeah.
But Brandon Ingram's been really good in this stretch. Say we will.
No,
He's on a really. He just needs to eat more in the offseason, get a little bit bigger, be fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think other than those 3 players, I think you tear it all down. And
Yeah, I mean, I think those are the top ones that are going to be traded though, which is this year. If they're not, to get Anthony Davis, they'll have to give up.
I can tell you right now that I don't think they get Anthony Davis.
I don't
the
think
Celtics have too much to be able to give up.
Somehow the Celtics get him, and he'll be happy there. And if they could get Kyrie to stay, then they'll be fine.
It'll at the very least be similar to a Kawhi Leonard situation, where he gets there and just doesn't say anything about how he feels. Just kind of keeps it quiet.
Speaking of Kawhi, I think he stays in Toronto.
I agree.
Oh, I agree.
Toronto's like the perfect city for a guy like Kawhi. Stay quiet, people
The
will
only
love
thing
you.
he's really remarked at is that he thinks it's cold. That's
Okay.
all he said about Toronto.
Shocker, Toronto's cold.
Yeah, so-
Breaking news here on the Common Denominator podcast. No, going back to landing a superstar, though, I don't think Anthony Davis will end up there either. I think you look at a guy like Kemba Walker, you trade Lonzo Ball, get some more players around you, maybe get draft picks. I think a guy like Kemba Walker would be perfect on that team. Who is a superstar. He's just in one of the worst situations in the
Do you
NBA.
think part of it has to do with how Kimba will receive that, though? I don't think that Charlotte is going to be able to trade him without a little bit of pushback, because he has made no qualms about it. He has no intention of leaving Charlotte, so...
Not necessarily.
No, but he's unrestricted.
No, I know.
Yeah,
The
so I
issue
think
is, it's a matter of if he wants a super max or not, that's.
I don't think it's the issue. I think the issue is Kemba has been his own player for this entire time. He's been the face of the Hornets, and he still could be. But
they're not building around him.
No, they're not at all. And I think at some point it comes down to, do you want money and individual fame, or do you want immortality when it comes to championship teams? Because I don't think they would be too far out of winning the West if they were to get a guy like Kemba Walker and you stick him on that team. Obviously, they have another offseason of building to do, but I don't think they're too far away from contending. So I think even this year, 'cause they're not going to do anything this year. I think we all agree.
No.
I think missing the playoffs would be the best thing for the Los Angeles Lakers.
This draft is pretty talented. Get a player that could just come off the bench and be good for
You
you.
at least have a lot of talent at the top end.
Yeah. They have other draft picks, I believe, too. Because I feel I feel like they have other first round picks. I could be wrong, but I think they'll just, if they're a competent franchise, they'll be able to draft a player in the lottery and be decent and fill the hole that's needed off the bench. The issue is they're going to get too big and try to trade for someone that will end up costing them more than helping them.
Well, the thing is Magic Johnson has to do his job. You can't let LeBron run a team in LA. You can say all that you want. LeBron is not a good team builder. Yes, he got Kevin Love. Kevin Love is now stuck there and has become one of the laughing stocks of the NBA.
I don't know if he's a laughing stock because of the whole blame Kevin Love thing last year. I don't know what he's done this year.
He's been hurt.
As of late, he's been doing quite a bit better, but it's still one of those things where he's another one of those players that could definitely benefit from leaving the situation.
Let's be honest. There's a better chance of Kevin Love ending up on the Lakers next season than there is, like, Anthony Davis.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
No. I don't think that a team like the Lakers that is going to be looking for a superstar is going to go out of their way to go sign or get somebody from like Kevin Love. I think that's going to be a team that's thinking that they can compete, that just wants to add more depth or a better starter, I guess, if you still consider Kevin Love a starter.
I think the issue here is they're going to go after someone and go 2-in on someone. Like, I think whatever the Celtics do, I think Gordon Hayward's out of there no matter what move they make, which sucks for him. He could have been a lot better there, but he will probably be part of a trade package somewhere to make up the money.
Probably New Orleans.
That wouldn't be bad for him. Probably wouldn't be the worst place to settle and do
He's
nothing.
a talented player.
He's just been injury bugged. The thing is, Timberwolves are close to blowing it up too, which probably not blowing it up, but like trading away Jeff Teague, players like that. And moving more close, just building around Towns, as they should. The thing is, I don't know if there's Hassan Whiteside's probably a guy that the Lakers might be able to get. Well, I think Kimba and LeBron could do enough damage. So I think that'd be a good team build. You just need two superstars and a lot of average to good players. Look at the Thunder, look at the Rockets. They don't need the great players to be good teams. Just team basketball works.
Look at the 76ers before they traded for Jimmy Butler.
Look at the Warriors. Draymond Green's only a superstar because he played in
Draymond Green is not a superstar.
Yeah, he is and he isn't.
Draymond Green is not a superstar. You take that back.
All defensive player.
It doesn't matter. Draymond Green is not a superstar.
He's a star.
He's a star. He's not a superstar.
The thing is, he wouldn't be a star without team basketball in the first place, because that team was built off the back of Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Draymond Green only came into the fold because he performed decently in a finals or two.
I'll be the first to go on the record. I think Klay Thompson goes to the Lakers.
Yeah.
I think he's a very good basketball player away from the Warriors.
I think he's very good at everything but dribbling and maybe a little bit of defense. Not the best.
Klay Thompson's a really good defender.
I think he has struggles sometimes.
Klay Thompson is the only reason Steph Curry is not completely exposed night in and night out for his terrible defending. Steph Curry is one of the worst defenders in the NBA.
The thing is they got to get Kemba with Klay, I think. They got to get a good point guard if they're going to get Klay. I don't think Klay could run the point, which I guess they could have LeBron do.
At that point, could you have Lonzo run the point?
Probably.
I think Lonzo would be good enough.
He's a good facilitator.
Lonzo would be good enough to start on that team.
I feel like that also kind of depends on where they end up in the draft too. Because you do have some talent at point guard in this draft, so.
There's also still Boogie. He might leave the Warriors.
I don't think he'll go to LA though. He wouldn't go to LA. I think you want to hear my bold prediction.
Goes back to the Kings.
I think he goes back to the Kings.
I think that would be a terrible move for the Kings. I think moving on from him helped them more than it hurt them.
Well,
I think
moving on from him and just signing him to a good card, he wouldn't be. The thing with Sacramento is they're going to have a hard time convincing top tier free agents to join them. And Boogie would be a guy that they could easily convince to come and join them because he will.
My only concern is that when he was there, he was a bit too self-centered as a player.
That's
And
how he
I
is.
I feel like that's not good for a team like that. They're very good for team basketball too,
But
and I feel like that's just going to disrupt the chemistry they're building right now.
There, but at that point, it comes down to, do you want to win titles?
And I don't think they
because
can
if
win one with
Boogie goes to that team, I think they can win one in
I
2
think
or
that-
3 years.
I think there's more of a chance boom or bust for if they get Boogie, but I think they just remain average and just being a middle tier to fifth seed.
My thing is, I think
team in the
Buddy Hield
West.
and De'Aaron Fox are coming into their own.
No, they're good. I
and
just
feel
don't.
like they could probably, given a little more time to develop, could probably carry that team at least further into the playoffs.
They're going to
I'd
be
say
built.
3 seed at absolute best.
Yeah, the
And
Kings.
anytime.
The Kings will struggle with just how the Trailblazers struggle. Is that they're going to have a tough time convincing free agents to come unless they get trades.
And they've just got guards.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. The ceiling of the current Kings team, once they fully develop, is the 3 seed.
Is the Trailblazers.
It's
Let's
they're-
be honest. It's the Trailblazers.
If they, but they don't. They could easily convince a guy like Boogie to come back. I don't know. I think Boogie had a decent time there. I think he likes the city. I think Boogie would probably prefer to go there. The thing is, they have a lot of players that are. They could move on. The Kings will only get better through trade. That's just facts. They keep De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley, maybe Buddy Hield. I think he probably becomes a casualty at some point, just cause. Say what you will, to move on, because I think Bagley and De'Aaron Fox and someone else they get through trade is still a better team than De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, and Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, I mean, I can see. I just think, I think you're spot on with your saying that the Kings are going to have a hard time attracting free agents. And I agree with you, Brady. They do have good team basketball going on, and I think that's really hard to convince someone to come play for your team when you just play team basketball.
It's tough because you got to give up your numbers.
Yeah, if you ask the casual NBA fan to name 3 Sacramento Kings, they probably couldn't do it.
I have a name for the Kings. Marcus Aldridge. He trade sign. I think he'd go there.
My only thing is, I think that
I don't know if he's
the
good enough, but
Kings
still, I'm just saying.
might be able to pull off an upset in that way, that they could get a big name free agent, similar to how Oklahoma City somehow managed to convince Paul George to stay after 1 year.
Well, the thing is, that's what I'm saying. They got to trade for a guy to bring him in-house and get the conversation started. They won't be able to go have a meeting with LeBron, for example, at some dock party and
I think
bring him
this would
home.
be the offseason to do it when you have people like Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving,
You
AP all available.
Well, I mean, Gordon Hayward's only available through trade, isn't he? Or is this?
So is
No,
AD.
he's not unrestricted.
Yeah, AD. But the thing is, I don't think Anthony Davis they might be able to get if they package or anything. Imagine them trading away Buddy Hield right back to the Pelicans.
I think there is no way they would get a guy like Anthony Davis.
They don't.
And
Have
going back to your point about OKC, I think the reason OKC was able to attract Paul George is because they did trade for him, they gave him they had a year to convince him. But I think it's the opportunity to play with a guy like Russell Westbrook, who is a superstar in the NBA. Without a superstar, it's hard to attract other players. Like that's, I think, one of the problems that the Knicks are going to have. I don't know if they'll get guys like Kyrie and Kevin Durant.
Not with James Dolan.
Yeah, not with James Dolan.
I
But
don't know
I
how they
think
get in these conversations.
I think if the teams like the Knicks were to get one superstar, I don't think they'll get a second this year. It's the same with the Clippers. You look at the Clippers the last offseason, people are saying, oh, well, they have room for 2 max contracts. They didn't sign a superstar.
Yeah.
People were saying they were going to sign 2. Oh, they'll get guys like Kawhi and they'll get guys like Paul George and they can team up and the Clippers will finally be good. LeBron might go there.
The thing
Where
is,
are they now? I mean, they're not a bad team, but
I
those
think they're
that
one of
money
those
doesn't go
teams that
away.
A single superstar might benefit them enough to at least push them into a higher level.
well, the thing is, I mean, you need a superstar to convince another superstar to go. If you want to have 2, you have to start with having one there for at least a year.
That's why there's a good chance Marvin Bagley or De'Aaron Fox develop into superstars, one or the other. One will probably end up leaving that team. One will stay for the future. That's just how it'll end up. Whether it's Bagley or De'Aaron Fox, that'll be in 5 years. The Kings have more of a chance to build a championship roster than they do in right now in like the next 2 or 3.
I think everything right now is contingent upon whether the Warriors absolutely blow up or whether they stay together. Boogie's not staying with that team.
No.
No, and I
I
don't
don't
think they
see
want him
any
to
way.
stay
No,
anyways.
neither do I.
That team, honestly, though, when it's just Steph left, it's going to be fun to watch.
I think the same about Klay Thompson. I think Klay Thompson's a very good basketball player, and I want to see him play out of
Outside
Steph
of-
Curry's shadow.
Yeah.
I want to see Klay Thompson run his own team, per se.
The thing is, the hard part with that is Clay is not built as a player to be able to run his own team. He needs
he's not.
He needs a point guard. He needs.
See, we don't know that. He needs a point guard, but if you go and get a guy like, I think a guy like Rondo or a guy
Rondo
like
would-
Lonzo would be
Power.
perfect.
Yeah.
Just someone there to pass him the ball. That's all you need. And any average point guard in the NBA can do that.
Yeah.
If you can pass Klay Thompson the ball, if you can isolate someone else and get Klay Thompson a little bit of room, a little bit of space to work with, Klay Thompson can punish you and he can go off for 30 points a
If
game.
he's hot, you're gonna regret everything in life that
Yeah.
game because he'll just hate
No, I agree.
your shot somehow wide open every time. It's just amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I think in the NBA you need one star to build a possible championship roster, and that unless you could do it through the draft and get lucky and get a guy like maybe have one of your stars get injured, then all of a sudden you have another chance to get like the Spurs back in the day. They got lucky, fell into Tim Duncan. It just happens. Like the Knicks could fall into Zion and end up with Kyrie.
Or Zion could fall into a lower draft spot.
Well, it depends. Cause,
Get it? His injury.
I mean,
Bad pun.
Terrible joke.
I don't think he'll bust past the top three.
He's a shoo-in for a lottery pick.
Definitely.
Yeah, we could keep going on this, but let's stop it
Let's
right
move
there.
on to similar.
Hurts my soul.
Speaking of soul, you could argue this guy was the heart and soul of his former franchise. According to reports, Nick Foles will be going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and to be honest, I don't think it's going to work out.
I think I agree with you.
This is Brock Osweiler 2.0.
See,
I won't go that far.
I'm hesitant because John DiFilippo's there, and we've seen that when he has somebody that he's familiar with, he can at least play to a somewhat decent level. I don't think this will be another Rams fiasco like he had the first time around, but I think their ceiling is a wild card playoff spot.
Don't take digs at Jeff Fisher.
No, I'm gonna take a lot of digs at Jeff Fisher.
The reason I don't think it'll work is because he's a season too late. Had the Jaguars made this move last season, I think everything would be fine and dandy.
No.
I don't think they would have made the playoffs, and I don't think they will make the playoffs for another few years. The Jacksonville Jaguars are $3 million over the cap. They're in one of the most competitive divisions in football, and most of all, they're not that good. Their defense, who was so terrifying 2 years ago, was mediocre at best.
They won't exist next year because they got to trade away a lot of cap.
Exactly.
Cut it all. They also had led the league in drops, receivers. The receivers led the league in drops. It wasn't all Blake Bortles' fault when they would drop the ball, get picked. I mean, it was a lot of his. But there were some passes where I would watch a game and they would just drop easily.
Oh yeah, no,
catches.
but I mean they've got guys like DJ Chark who are talented young receivers. Even then though, I don't think the receivers are the problem. They're gonna trade away Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
They're gonna trade away. They're gonna trade him or cut
I
him.
think they're trying to move on.
They are. So
especially after
what does that
Coughlin
leave
thing.
you with? TJ Yeldon? No run game will succeed with TJ Yeldon as your starter, especially when you have a guy like Nick Foles who we still have yet to figure out. Yes, he did win a Super Bowl, but yes, he also essentially got benched on the Rams.
He also stunk it up to start the year last year,
Yeah.
which is why he immediately got.
And when you have a team with a quarterback that you're unsure about, and a bad receiving core, and even if Leonard Fournette's there, he's injury prone. He's a good running back. I don't know if he's that great
Good,
in the
not
NFL
great.
yet. So that all just spells disaster, especially when you bring into the mix a defense who is overconfident and will be blown up likely in the offseason.
Yeah, I think part of the problem lies in the amount of people that are a bit too vocal on the Jags. Looking at you, Jalen Ramsey.
Well, if he makes it there,
So
makes it the whole offseason surviving.
I'm thinking. Well, that's part of my point. Is I think that there probably are going to be blowing it up, and I think they're the ones that are going to be the casualties. It's the people that are too vocal.
I think one of the reasons why they want Nick Foles is because he's a good locker room guy.
We don't need guys who are too vocal, so let's bring in Big Dick Nick.
So, what? So Nick Foles just wants to go here to see the weather in Florida and retire, right? It's not a coincidence that the Bob Kraft thing happened in Florida and all of a sudden Nick Foles wants to go there.
I don't know where that came from.
I don't think that has anything to do.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, Florida. It's not too far away.
No, but you know what else is not technically too far away is the other teams in their division, and I think that is ultimately the reason that they're not.
Oh, I would argue they're very far away from the Jags at this current standing.
Yeah, I would.
Well, yeah, I was talking more like location-wise.
Oh.
But yeah, no, you're right. The Texans and the Colts are miles ahead of the Jags, and the Titans. The Titans are on the up, whereas they might be the same level talent-wise as the Jags. They're on the up. They're trending upwards. They just need a quarterback. Meanwhile, Jacksonville is on the down.
They could use a great quarterback just to come in and fix everything, which would put them at the level of Tennessee, but it wouldn't fix everything, and they'd still be.
They're still a train.
Seven,
I think
they're
the
7-9.
Jacksonville Jaguars are quietly one of the biggest train wrecks in the NFL right now.
As per usual. They got that 1 year of fame. The Jags are gonna Jags. That's why the nickname's the Jags. So say what you will. Speaking of the Titans, though, they might be going. They want to improve their stock by improving their receiving core by going after Antonio Brown.
You said speaking of Tennessee. I was going to say speaking of train wrecks, but on more of an individual level.
Train wrecks and ruining all his possible value. At the same time, thinking that I think he is a free agent. I don't know how this trade's going to work. He vividly said that they're not going to trade him to an AFC team. Although two of the teams on the list are AFC teams, which is what it is. Either the Steelers don't respect those teams, which, looking at the teams, I would understand why.
I don't think Antonio Brown will go to any of those teams. I think it'll be a surprise team, whether that be a team like the 49ers or whether it be somewhere like, I don't know, Green Bay, something like that. It'll be a totally bogus team.
I'm thinking it's like 49ers or Green Bay. I think those are the two. I would say probably one. I feel like they have more assets to actually be able to acquire him and not be as hurt as Tennessee or Oakland would be.
These are just the teams that are interested in the
I know. But at the
not
same
surprising
time,
by any of them. Redskins especially. That's a big move for them.
I'm actually a little surprised by the Washington interest simply because what do they have on their team right now as it is? Like, they're over the salary cap and they're terrible.
There were talks they were going to trade for Josh Rosen if he's available. They are the team who has inquired the most about Josh Rosen.
Definitely benefit them, but I still don't think it fixes all the problems.
No, neither do I. I don't think any team on this list that's talking to Antonio Brown is anywhere near contending. I don't think Antonio Brown cares. The thing about Antonio Brown is he wants to go to a team where he will A, get paid, and B, he can act like a premature teenager and not get punished for it. So you need a guy like Jay Gruden who doesn't care.
Schneider.
I mean,
Schneider's a kid too.
He'll make more money with Antonio Brown on his team, so that's why he wants him. And then he'll just be Josh Norman, like 2.0. It's the same deal. They brought him in a guy that was struggling with his last team, gave him a bunch of money just so he could underperform. Although Norman hasn't been awful.
Norman hasn't been terrible, but he's just kind of been pushed by the wayside.
I would take him on my team.
Antonio Brown, don't get me wrong, is one of the best wide receivers in the
He
NFL.
led the NFL
Easily.
touchdowns last season.
He is on the bad side of his career now. He's 30 years old, and he's still acting like he's 13. Especially this offseason. I did not think Antonio Brown was this big a problem until he started speaking out.
If he just stayed quiet after the report came out and then saying that he was going to be gone, he'd be ready to make a lot of money from almost any team.
I agree.
All teams were looking into it.
But, I mean, here he is complaining about a quarterback like Big Ben, who is one of the handful of quarterbacks playing right now who's going to be a Hall of Famer, no doubt.
Well, the issue is that Big Ben, compared to some other the quarterbacks, especially on this name of teams that are listed, are out. Big Ben's an alpha. I think Antonio Brown doesn't want to be told what to do by someone else, especially someone that he views that he's better than at his job than the other one is at his, which is probably a fair statement with Big Ben.
So you mean to tell me that Marcus Mariota, Derek Carr, the guy who cried on the field after being tackled, and Alex
Allegedly.
Smith are all cucks?
Well, I mean,
I'm
not
shocked.
Alex Smith, whoever they have there. 'Cause Alex Smith won't be playing.
Colt McCoy. Hear that, everybody?
Josh Johnson.
Colt McCoy is a cuck.
Because he's technically not on that
Confirmed.
team anymore. But, I mean, if it is Rosen, it might be more interesting. But that'll just be more of a train wreck because I think Rosen's kind of a train wreck.
I don't think Rosen's. I think Rosen's a
it
good
was
quarterback.
Arizona, yeah.
Arizona's a train
train
wreck.
I
I
think
think
Josh Rosen.
Personality-wise, I think it really do a train wreck between them.
I don't know.
I don't
Run
know.
Antonio around the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
He's a ball hog. Is what he wants. He wants to shine.
I think that would actually be a terrible move for them, though, if they trade for Josh Rosen to go get Antonio Brown, because then all you're going to do is basically get someone in Josh Rosen's head constantly, and it'll, I think, just hinder his development more.
I don't disagree with you. I just think Antonio Brown, he's just like T.O., but he's less talented than T.O. He's a bigger diva and he's less talented, and that's just what I think. He's like Des Bryant, but a little better, a little quicker, a better route runner.
Yeah.
I think Antonio Brown's a very good receiver, like I said, but he's letting his attitude get in the way of that, and that will be his downfall.
I feel like his new bleached mustache cost him like $5 million just in total. I think that's a bad
To be
look.
honest, you look kind of like a pedophile, I'm not going to lie.
I think Juju Smith-Schuster
Allegedly.
will have a better career. I think the Steelers are just fine.
I don't know if I'd go as far to say they're just fine. I think they have some work to do this offseason, but
they have a
I don't think that
blueprint
they're
in
going to be
place
like
succeed.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to fall completely off the face of the earth, but I think it'll be another year of missed playoffs for them.
I agree.
I mean,
I agree. They've got a defense who's getting better, though. They just need to restructure that offense.
They still need somebody to replace Shazier. They're desperately
Yep.
missing that force in the middle.
I mean, it's rumored that he might be able to make it back for next year right now.
I mean, even if he does,
trending
though,
that way.
I
It is
don't think I trust. After an injury like that, I don't think I trust him to be the same player or the leader that he was.
I think he's
I
free
would
agent,
still be
too.
looking for a replacement.
I think the leader, I don't think he'll
I-
necessarily be the player. It's just after an injury like that, the one thing is you are just so scared. I want to see how fearless he is. And even then, I agree with you, though. I would take a young... This year has a lot of good run blockers.
Their
Or
defensive
run
talent.
stoppers, I mean.
The defensive
and
talent in this
linebackers.
draft is insane.
Yeah, and the wide receiver talent's good too, which makes it more for a team like the Steelers, who are excellent at drafting receivers.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting
no,
to see
okay.
what they do first round.
But no, I agree. I think with a team like the Browns in your division, who's definitely on the up, as we talked about earlier, the Steelers will miss the playoffs, I think. And they're just going to have to accept that. I think Mike Tomlin isn't as good as everybody thinks he is, and we're going to see that this year.
I think he's bad at controlling personalities, but he's good at coaching.
He's good at
He's
coaching.
a
He's
player's
not great
coach.
at coaching. Everyone
He's a
considered
player's
him
coach,
one of
so
the
he's
best
bad
coaches.
at handling locker rooms.
Which
He's bad for that, but when it comes to coaching up a team and getting them into a situation to win games late, he's gonna get you there.
Yeah, I mean, so we will. They barely missed the playoffs this year. And they collapsed down the stretch for whatever reason. Whether there's no telling what that for sure reason was, whether that's him or not. It just kind of happened. I don't know. I mean, I think Antonio Brown, as Gabe said, is on this decline, and wherever he goes, his numbers won't. Well,
I don't think his numbers will take a hit. That's not what I'm saying at all. I think his talent will take a hit, and maybe his ego too. I mean, wherever he goes, any of these teams, he's the number one guy.
Oh, I don't think his ego goes down if his numbers are staying the same.
Well, I think that also kind of depends on what team he goes to.
I'm not saying his ego will go down. I'm saying his ego will just take a negative hit. Is where I was saying. He won't change. But I mean, being here in Houston, a lot of people talked about, how fun would it be to have DeAndre Hopkins and Antonio Brown on the same team? That would be fun.
It'd be fun on the field, but it'd be terrible. It'd be a distraction.
Antonio Brown is not going to go to a team where he's not the number one receiver
personalities
and where he doesn't get paid. I don't think, as that video surfaced earlier of him saying he doesn't need football, I don't think football needs him. But I think him saying that he doesn't need football is really alarming, and I think it shows the type of person he really is. And if he goes to a team who's not very good, it'll blow up, because I think it'll set them back X amount of years. And he just cares about himself, I think.
I think it's really telling when a player can make what Le'Veon Bell is doing look good right now. I mean, people's opinions on Le'Veon Bell is changing a little bit because of what Antonio Brown's doing.
For the record, I don't think what Le'Veon Bell did was wrong.
And it's not even that. It's just the fact that I feel like he was a bit too selfish in the situation. I understand what he's saying, that he wants to get paid, but I think that he hurt himself more than anything doing that. And he also hurt his team, and he hurt his standing in the league.
I don't know if he hurt his team. I don't know if Le'Veon Bell will ever come back and be the same, so I agree he did hurt himself.
He's like 260 pounds reportedly right now.
Even then, he's been out of football for a year, and for a running back that's supposedly that good.
Or by the time football starts back up, he'll be out for 18 months.
Yeah, I don't know if... I mean, we saw the success of the Pittsburgh running core this season. I don't know if Le'Veon Bell is as good as everyone is saying.
I think it's more the offensive line than that. The offensive line is really good.
And I mean, that was... like, I don't mean to bring up another hot take. That was one of my hot takes earlier. I just don't think he's that good. Everyone's talking about, like, all the fuck you money that he's going to get. I don't think he's worth near that.
I don't think that he's going to get as much as people think he will. I don't think there's a team that's that interested in him, and he might even sit for a little bit longer than he'd like on the market.
I could see teams like Jacksonville, if they somehow make enough cap space, or just a team that's really desperate for running back. Jets,
supposedly,
even the Niners, if they don't land AB.
Supposedly, the Jets have shown very little interest in him. They haven't even really reached out to talk to him yet.
I can see the Bills going after him. Trailer McCoy.
Actually, surprisingly, the favorite is in division rival Baltimore. Baltimore is considered the favorite for him
it's come
right
up
now.
recently.
I can see it, especially with Alex Collins getting cut.
He's been liking stuff on. Philly also is rumored.
I can see Philly. I could definitely see Philly. Jay Ajayi's not that good.
He's a decent. I would say he's a decent first 2 down back, and then they need somebody that can catch out the backfield.
He's a decent back though, but I mean, if you really want to go all in and get someone for, let's say, little value, at how high he's valued, Philly would be right to do so, to go and get him.
Not like the Eagles have anything to worry about within division rivals based off recent news. As first off, Giants probably won't be any much better next year.
No.
I think Eli still starts 4 to 5 games for him next year.
Yeah, I think he'll start the season. It'll be one of the what'd you call it? I don't even remember.
If it's Dwayne Haskins.
Who did the Texans start? What was his name over Watson? I completely forgot.
Tom Savage.
Yeah, Tom Savage, that guy. I completely blanked. It'll be one of the Tom Savage, Deshaun Watson type situations where you think the experienced starter in Eli Manning will start out and be your guy for a year, but I think
a repeat of this season with Flacco, Jackson.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Both like less winning.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think it will be Dwayne Haskins, the guy they get, though, and I think Dwayne Haskins will shine in New York,
I think a
especially
lot of
with the
people-
guy with Odell.
If they
Overhyped
fix the offensive
that.
line,
I don't even think the offensive line.
I think Haskins will struggle behind that offensive line.
I don't think he'll struggle. I
don't think the
I
offensive
it'll be
line was
good.
too much of an
Oh,
issue
no, it
last
was.
season.
They
Oh,
were an
it
issue,
was.
but
Oh, yeah.
but with guys around him like Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham, I think he can shine, and I mean really shine. I think Dwayne Haskins is probably the best quarterback talent in this draft.
I mean,
From a pure passing standpoint, I agree with that. I don't know if I consider overall he'd be the best. I put more value into Drew Lock and Daniel Jones than I do Dwayne Haskins.
I don't. I think both those guys are talented, but I think you need the right situation for both of them. I think there'll be a Jimmy Garoppolo type where
Or-
everyone thinks they're really good.
I-
I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo's great.
I think from a ceiling standpoint, they
but-
both have a higher ceiling than what
I
Dwayne
low-key-
Haskins does. I feel like from pure passing standpoint, I can see Dwayne Haskins leading a team to a Super Bowl, but I don't know if his ceiling's truly as a superstar quarterback per se.
I can see him. I can see him being a quiet superstar. He's not made as much noise as the Ohio State quarterbacks of recent times.
but he'll make
always
more
cons-
noise in the NFL than all the other ones.
I'm talking more noise like off the field.
Yeah, he's a very
not
quiet
as,
person.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very quiet. He's not one of the
He's
just big like in your face type guys like Cardell Jones. I didn't come here to play school type
Well,
guys.
by the time he finally reached the draft, he was more humble and wasn't like that. He was more reserved.
Who, Cardell Jones?
By the time he reached the draft,
yeah, but here's the thing: is you get a guy like, wow, I completely blanked. What's his name?
Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins. There we go. See, that's a little. I know his name because he wasn't talked about other than that.
it
other
just
than
always
the fact that he was
concerns
tearing
me
up the field.
when you have a 1-year college starter because of how big the learning curve for a quarterback in the NFL
Oh, I completely
is.
agree, but I think that's when learning under Eli Manning helps.
Well, it also, I think the coaching staff at New York is perfect for him because somebody like Pat Shermer will be able to groom him properly. And I think that's what we're seeing in Chicago with Mitch Trubisky now, with Matt Nagy being able to groom him a little bit and get him to at least play better. He still concerns me, as so does, and Dwayne Haskins
Trubisky?
probably will. Yeah, Trubisky still concerns
I
me.
agree. I completely agree with that. You know who doesn't concern me? Jason Witten.
Well, I think he would concern me very much because he doesn't. Even his last year playing in the NFL, I don't know if he played more than 4 games. Probably did, but I don't think he
Oh,
played.
yeah,
He did. He just didn't
The
play.
Cowboys' total numbers at tight end last season were comparable to his solo the season before. So
Now the real question is, will he be better on the field next year than he was in the booth this past year?
Yes.
I think that's not even a question.
I don't think it's hard to beat unless he gets injured immediately. Which
I think he's less worse on the field this year than he was in the booth.
I think that there's another reason they brought him in, and I don't think it has to do purely from his playing standpoint.
probably because the locker
Facts
room
only.
is in shambles as usual with the Cowboys, and they need a guy that can control it.
I'm not
Why?
even
They have
sure
Jerry
it's
Jones.
just I'm not even sure it's just the locker room so much as the coaching staff. I don't think that they still like Jason Garrett. I think he'll be out after next season, and they're gonna want somebody that they know who's gonna replace
Is
him.
Jason Witten?
Witten.
Yeah.
Is he the as?
How does Jason
No.
Witten as the Cowboys head coach sound?
way.
Yes, man. Yeah.
No
You know
way.
Jerry.
No way.
Oh yeah, that's happening.
I think it is. I think that's where this is headed.
That would be crazy.
I think that would
insane.
be kind of awesome.
No matter
Not
what,
gonna
this
lie.
ends with
It's
Jason
probably
Witten
not.
on the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think there's no instance that he
I
doesn't
can
at
see
least
it.
join the coaching staff.
No, see, I think Kellen Moore will be the head coach.
I would have thought that if Jason Witten didn't come back.
There's a reason why he came back with his age.
I
and
don't- yeah,
injuries,
I don't
and it
think-
wasn't just because he wanted to play football.
I
again.
imagine that the
Or he didn't wanna
conversations
get
with
fired.
Jerry probably had some sort of promise.
Jerry was
in
like,
it.
I don't know. I think you're reading into him coming back too much. I think it's him escaping his job in the booth more than him joining.
yes,
the
but he could have
Cowboys.
easily come back and
You
said,
know-
"I'm a free agent now. I don't want to. I could play for
Well,
someone
no,
else."
I think that if
No,
it was
I don't think
purely-
anybody would pick him up.
See, my thing
yeah,
is,
but he could have said it.
if it was purely from a standpoint that he just wanted to come back to the team, then it would have been as a coaching role. He wouldn't have come back as a player. I think the reason he comes back as a player now is because he knows Jason Garrett only has another year.
Well, no, I think it's because he wanted to transition quietly. Had he come back as a coach, it's like, oh, well, you're giving up on broadcasting. But now the narrative is more, oh, Jason Witten wants to play football again. He wants to play again. He's not ditching his job. While we are sitting here talking about him ditching his broadcasting job, that's just, with a guy that bad, that's the narrative. That's what you're going to say. But I think he goes out quietly broadcasting, whereas coaching, it would be like, he's ditching this.
I think it's safe to say, though, that likely it'll either be Kellen Moore or Jason Witten as the next
I
Cowboys
think
head
it's
coach.
something that's currently in-house right now that will be...
Yeah. Jerry Jones likes to hire in-house. He tries
maybe
to.
the DC.
Stephen Jones.
They should hire Stephen A. Smith if they haven't already.
Oh, the guy who thought Dwayne Haskins was more of a runner than a passer. Sure knows how to evaluate that talent.
What was Dwayne Haskins' 40 again?
5.04.
Oh boy, that's going to be fun for the Giants.
I don't think the Giants' offensive line is as bad as you're making them out
I'm-
to be. They're still bad. They're really
They're
bad.
bad, but I don't think they're as
not
big of a problem
much
as you're making
atrocious.
them out to be.
I mean, I think half the problem with Eli is he's a statue and can't move in the pocket,
Yes.
which Haskins has the potential to be. But anytime I watched Ohio State, I didn't feel like Haskins was
Yeah,
that slow.
I feel like a
He wasn't
40...
that slow.
I think he just had a bad 40.
Yeah, I don't think
Yes.
a 40 is very indicative of lateral quickness, the ability to move from side to side.
I mean, a quarterback's not going to be running 40 yards down the
Exactly.
field. He needs to run 5 at most.
Unless you're Kyler Murray.
He needs to be able to extend plays, and that's the point.
Well, not like Kyler's going to do that once. And then,
No, Kyler will get
Okay, I don't want to say
absolutely
that. He might run.
He'll probably have a 40-yard run in his career, his short-lived career.
One wheel route will be wide open on one side. He'll be able to run down for 40.
Yeah.
I don't have much more to add on Wooten. I don't
Neither
really
do I.
care.
It's a
I
joke.
think I didn't think about it till right now. I think the correct assumption is that he'll be the head coach after next season.
I'm still not on board with that, but I will agree in the fact that Jason Witten came to this team for leadership more than his on-field skills.
I can
I don't think he
comfortably
starts.
say that he is. Yeah, I don't think he starts either.
Neither
I
do
think
I.
that they want. Blanking on his name now. Jeff Swaim, I believe, is his name.
He wasn't bad.
Yeah,
Last
he's
year.
the guy who came on at the end of the season. I think they'd rather have him start at this point, but
Is it Swaim or Swami? They might
as
have
far as
something.
I've heard, it's Swaim.
They might have something here. If it's spelled or pronounced like Swami,
Then the Bills are winning a Super Bowl.
talking about being the future.
The Bills are winning a Super Bowl.
Now we're on to something, guys. Well, not with the Bills winning a Super Bowl.
Well, like a nickname, like a Swami, would be kind of cool, right? Or is that more of a book title?
I don't know. Why don't we find out? This is a...
Well, we're not going to find out Swami.
No, we're not going to find out Swami. We're not going to find out Swami. But we are going to play Athlete Name or Book Title, which is one of the many segments we will be rotating out to end our shows. It's a show that we previously played for IHOP,
Yeah.
essentially.
We might decide-
Winner got IHOP.
I
We're
think-
still trying to decide on the stakes.
Well, a stake that I think we could do is, since we're rotating these segments out, we could do, since a lot of these are more contest-based that we'll probably end up with, we could just take the points from each of them, add them up at the end. and
This is true.
Go with it.
Regardless, Athlete Name or Book Title is a segment that we rebirthed, I'll say, from our old failed podcast attempts. But it is one of my personal favorites. I enjoy researching it and hearing you guys' thoughts. So here's how we're going to do it. I am going to spout the name of a book or an athlete's nickname. And Brady and Cooper will both guess which one is which.
Is there a way we did this where we don't just copy each other? Or
No, there wasn't a way. We have
just-
tiebreakers.
we
though.
just
do
assumed that we
do 5 of them,
didn't
and
follow
then
each other's opinion?
yeah, we do 5 of them, and then at the end, if there is a tie, then you guys will have to.
In the history of this
Differ
contest,
from the
I'm the
last
only
one.
loser so far.
This is true. Alrighty, so Cooper, are you ready to maybe not lose?
Probably not.
Alrighty, athlete name or book title number 1, Manny Being Manny.
Guys, I think I'm gonna go with book title.
I agree. That's a book title.
It is a nickname.
Oh,
It is Manny Ramirez.
You know, I Just I don't like more than one word nicknames, and I think for the future, no matter what, I think I might go with book titles.
Boy, are you in for a
The
wild
repeat
ride.
of the name was what threw me off.
Yeah.
Like that's just
That is
Wow,
the
what a
intention.
nickname! My nickname is Manny being Manny. Wow,
At least he
surprise!
didn't
Manny
give
is Manny.
himself a nickname. Alrighty. The Wicked King.
That's is that not both?
It's
Somewhere
not
down
both. It is not both.
I got
that's a book title.
that's an athlete nickname.
Point for Brady. That is book title. It is a book by Holly Black that I found on the Barnes & Noble Top 100.
Nice.
Alrighty, the third one. The Perfect Stranger.
That's a book title.
Yeah, that's a book title.
You are both correct. It is a book by Megan Miranda. The King in the Fourth.
That's an athlete name.
That's athlete name.
That is an athlete name. Do you know who it is?
Depends. Is it, give me a sport.
Basketball.
Basketball. Clutch player. Maybe. Ooh.
If you get it, I'll buy you IHOP.
Is it Dirk?
No.
Is that Devin Booker?
No. It's Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas. All right.
Is it because he's number 4?
He was number 3 in Cleveland, wasn't he?
No, I'm talking about like
Oh, I think
in Boston.
it
Is that why the
probably had to
nickname
do
came
with-
from?
It was probably from when
It was
he was
pro-
in Boston. Yeah, his comebacks. Like he was good for last
Yeah.
minute shots.
King of
and
the
stuff like
Fourth,
that.
and his number was 4 as well.
Yeah.
I feel like it. Okay, that makes sense.
And the last one, so Brady's up 3-2.
Yikes! I think if this is the last, so you have a tiebreaker past this, right?
Yes, I have a tiebreaker
Okay,
past this.
just making sure.
Iron Mike.
That's a nickname.
I got to go book title. Just
That is a nickname.
I had to go for book title. no
Mike
matter-
Ditka.
I knew it was a book athlete name, but I couldn't go the same as him because it would just mean loss anyway.
This is true.
Alrighty.
Save the next one for future.
I can or I can spit it out now. It's up to you guys.
I
Either way is fine.
Probably the next time we compete, Gabe will be part of it. I guess since I lost, I will host it.
We'll see. Or I enjoy hosting it. So we
Yeah, but
still got some quirks
it
to work
doesn't
out.
help the overall contest if you're not playing.
No, but we can
too.
all have a contest that we host.
We could do that if we
That's
find
true.
a third one. We got
So
two
I'll,
right
I'll
now.
I'll spout it anyways. Let's just do this one's just for good old fun. The Cruel Prince.
Ooh,
It's a book title.
I just want to. I think it's as.
It's a book title. It's a book, another book by Holly Black that I found on the Barnes & Noble Top 100.
You see, those would be fun as a athlete nickname. So I think those are things.
There would be no. I agree. That's the whole
That's the
purpose
whole
of
purpose
me.
of the game. Yeah.
Me looking it
See,
up.
all these now we get names. We got to figure out players that go along with these.
This is
names.
true. We can do that. All right. So let's start with the Wicked King. Who could be the Wicked King?
I think. I like James Hart as the Wicked King because people hate him for what he does.
Vontez Perfect.
Yeah. Vontez. Definitely Vontez.
What about the Perfect Stranger?
Furkan Korkmaz or whatever his name
Antonio
is.
Brown in his new look.
I feel like this has got to be. It's not somebody that's like a stranger. I feel like it's got to be someone who is quietly doing like really good that you don't know about. Blake Griffin.
Fair enough.
You know Blake Griffin was having a good season?
Yeah.
He was an all-star. He's averaging like 28 points a game.
Did he play in the All-Star
You could
game?
make the
Yeah.
same argument for D'Angelo Russell.
I think D'Angelo Russell's put himself more out there though.
I
Spencer
think that's
Dinwiddie.
purely from team standpoint, from him playing on the Brooklyn Nets.
And
I mean,
Devin Booker wearing
I-
his jersey, but
yeah.
Or Spencer Dinwiddie. It could be.
Yeah.
So what about the Cruel Prince?
He's not in the league yet, but Zion.
Ooh.
'Cause
I
he's
was.
suggested to be the heir to the throne for LeBron.
It's true.
See, I feel like that's probably going to end up going to Giannis even when Zion enters the league, though.
So do you think
Cruel Prince.
Giannis is the
I don't
Cruel
think
Prince?
that fits in basketball. I think it would be
No, I
a
agree.
other team
I
sport.
completely agree.
It'd fit well in hockey, I think, too. Because you can get
Yeah, but
nasty.
who knows anything about hockey?
Not here currently. Maybe if there's ever a Houston team, I will get into it. I will try my hardest.
We could give it to Christian Hackenberg.
I like
The
it.
The Cruel Prince.
Yeah.
Josh Rosen when he gets traded.
Okay,
How's that?
I like it.
All right.
I can see that.
That's it. That-
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is athlete name or book title.
That will be recurring maybe 2 weeks from now if we don't instead run a March Madness thing in 2 weeks' time. Because I
You
think
can always make an appearance. We can just make an exception. We can do just all basketball players or something to fit
we
the
could do
mood.
like a. We could try to find like a all March Madness theme to it or something like that.
I guarantee you I could put together a list with...
so. How many points? Okay, so for future, because I knew the answer to the last one, but I had to go against Brady to tie. I think overall, just for future, we just go by points for the end of the month, and then we decide prize at the end.
Okay.
So like Brady,
Okay.
Brady,
I
what
can go
was
with
like 4-2.
4-2.
So we got to keep a document, but 4-2. So if I would have guessed, that would have been 4-3, which would be better for me. So like in the future, you don't have to tank around just so.
Yeah.
No, I can agree with that.
Also, if we ever if we do more athlete name or book title, like we get garner a bigger list, we just do like ask like one of us how we go to a different. I don't know. I don't think it works that well if you do it that way though.
We'll see. You know what I can agree with, though? I can agree with the fact that you should follow us all on Twitter.
Yes.
My is at Gabe H. Journalist.
I believe mine is still at bpratt36.
I'm at Cooper Rice 3, and it is, I think our podcast is at Common Denom Pod, just because not enough characters, and people
Thanks,
took
Twitter.
CD, Pod, a bunch of other stuff from us. Anyway, to give you a little tease into the next episodes, we may or may not start a March Madness bracket on the best Always Sunny in Philadelphia episodes of all time, and we might discuss, or we might just make it and